Throughout this course, I have done much self-reflection as I envision myself becoming more of a multicultural educator. I have been a teacher for the last 20 years, give or take, and have noticed a definite change in the diversity in the cultures in my students. I started out as an educator believing that I could teach to the individual child using different their different learning styles, such as visual, audio, tactile, gross motor, and that was what was being taught in my teacher education program 20 years ago. When I moved up to Salem, I did recognize that there was a much more diverse population than what I grew up in. I grew up in a very small town where there was not much diversity, and the elementary, junior high, and high schools were taught as Nieto describes, in a very monocultural way. I had a few friends that were Hispanic and Black, but really did not view them as being any different than myself. I referred in my paper that I tended to wear color-blinded glasses. I felt that that was a good way to make sure that I saw my students as all the same, and so therefore I wasn't reflecting any prejudices or biases against them. As I continued teaching, I found that this view did not adapt well to my students in the class. They were very different, each of my students: white, black, Latino, Asian, Pacific Islander, and I needed to specifically teach to their needs. I found that many of the students struggled in reading. My white students as well as those with cultural diverse backgrounds. I went back to school and got my reading specialist license and taught as a reading specialist for a few years. As a reading specialist, I had adapted many skills and knowledge of scaffolding and teaching students in a way that they can learn language and learn how to read. I felt if I could get those my students, my ELLs, as well as my English only speakers, to read, that they could have better success in school. I took a few years off of teaching to stay at home and raise my daughter. When I returned to the classroom, I noticed there was a much more focus on English language learners, and I felt quite behind in my education. I decided then I needed to start relearning what I needed to teach and how I needed to teach to reach the needs of my students. I observed in several ELL classrooms and several bilingual classrooms. I had an opportunity to work at Grant Community School, where they have a dual two-way bilingual education. I found some great resources there and decided that I needed to return to school. So this is my first course in my ESOL endorsement program, and I also plan on taking some Spanish courses as well. I attempted once in high school for 4 years. I tried to learn Spanish and struggled. I attempted again in college and had little success in learning the language, but I am dedicated in learning the language this time. I struggle and can definitely feel for my students that are struggling to learn English. In this course, I have learned so much already. I feel renewed and refreshed. I have a drive to change education and create a better future for all students, or every student. And this is just the first step in creating that change. When I return to the classroom, I know already that I want to bridge that gap between families and schools by opening up lines of communication, asking them to volunteer in the classroom as much as possible, bringing their knowledge of their lives and their communities into my classroom, so that way I can learn about their culture and the students feel that their parents have a say in their education. I also feel that it's important to bring those students' cultures and diversities into the classroom so that they feel that they belong. As a reminder, I have made an acrostic. As a substitute teacher, I always have little tricks in my bag to fulfill any moments of time that the teacher has left open, and acrostics are often what I use to fill that time. I am no poet, but I wanted something that could take away from this course that reminded me of some of the aspects of what a good multicultural education teacher is. And this is my acrostic. And now I will read it to you. Just one moment. So, attributes of a multicultural education, and then it says teacher. Teach the change you want to see in the future. Engage each student in active discovery of themselves as well as the subjects we teach. Advocate for English language learners. Create a community of diverse learners. Help each student learn to dream and prepare them to reach for the stars. Expect greatness from every student, and recognize the benefits of linguistic diversity. That is my goal as a teacher. Many of those already were a goal of mine, and I have added some important ones that help me become more of a multicultural educator as well. Thank you very much, and I appreciate any feedback.